After 10 years of marriage, Jonathan Richards had slept with nearly every colleague and friend I had. I pretended not to see, choosing instead to focus on maternity checkups as usual with my 8-month-old belly, until one time, I was on my way to a routine checkup when his latest fling drove me down. I bled uncontrollably and begged him to take me to the hospital. Jonathan looked at me with a face full of disgust. Zara Claire, when did you become so good at faking accidents? His voice dripped with contempt. If you think putting on an act will make me care about you, you are wrong. Even if you died in front of me, I wouldn't spare you a glance. After saying that, he took his new fling and drove away, leaving me there to bleed out alone. By the time someone got me to the hospital, the baby in my womb had already suffocated and died. My mom, unable to bear the shock, died from a fatal heart attack. When I regained consciousness, my heart was already numb. Sitting beside me was Jonathan's grandfather, his face lined with sorrow. Let me go, I said flatly. Whatever I owed the Richards family, I have paid with my life. My phone buzzed incessantly with incoming messages. I glanced down to find my screen flooded with photos. Jonathan and his mistress, Lily Patricia, tangled in each other's arms. While I had been fighting for my life, they had been celebrating in a 5-star hotel, their bodies covered in love bites. In one of the pictures, Lily rested against his chest, her smile full of provocation. Unaware of the full extent of his grandson's cruelty, this old man still wanted to make a last-ditch effort. He placed a stack of documents in front of me, ownership shares of the Richards Corporation. Zara, Richards is not a bad person at heart. You have loved him for so many years, can't you give him another chance? He pleaded. As long as I'm here, no one will take your position as Mrs. Richards. I didn't respond. Instead, I played the video Lily had just sent me. The sound of 2 people lingering immediately spread through the hospital room. Su Shanshan gasped and asked, Richards, do you really not feel bad about leaving Zara on the road like that? Lily's voice was laced with amusement. Jonathan, his lips pressed against her neck, let out a low chuckle. Why would I? You are the only one I love. Even if she gave birth to my child, she'd never compare to you. The crude betrayal made the old man's face turn ghostly pale. His body trembled, veins bulging in rage. After a long, heavy sigh, he finally relented. The Richards family has wronged you, he said. I will handle the divorce. In 7 days, you will be free. His voice softened as he continued. As for your mom and child's burial arrangements, a nurse walked in, cradling a small, lifeless bundle. Even fate seemed unwilling to let me continue suffering in this marriage. My baby had never even taken a breath. I turned my head away, struggling to steady my breath. Bury the child with the Richards family. My mom's ashes. I will take them with me. The old man nodded painfully. I was wrong to keep you tied to this family. Go find a life beyond all this. You deserve a wider world. Saying that, he hunched over and left with the already dead child in his arms. The moment the door shut, the tears I had been holding back finally fell. Years of bitterness and regret came crashing down at once. My marriage to Jonathan had been arranged by his grandfather. He needed someone to keep his unruly grandson in check. I needed someone to pay for my mom's medical expenses. It had been a fair trade. I quit my job and married him. Over time, I learned about the tragic childhood he rarely spoke of, how he lost his parents at an early age, how he woke up in the middle of the night crying out for mom in his midnight dreams. In those moments, our 2 broken souls seemed to resonate with one another. I want to heal his heart. I want to start a happy family with him. So, I dedicated myself to being the perfect wife. I trained tirelessly in the kitchen, hoping to recreate the taste of his mother's cooking, the only warmth he had ever known. I traveled from place to place, trying to recreate the little wooden cabin from his childhood memories. I even learned every bed trick to satisfy his needs, hoping it would make him stay. I thought we would have a happy future together, but on our wedding anniversary, he proudly walked into a hotel with my best friend in a dignified manner. Like a madwoman, I ran after him, demanding an explanation. He scoffed and threw the contract between his grandfather and me in my face. Zara, what do you think you are? Just because I entertained you for a few days, you think you are actually Mrs. Richards? You are nothing but a dog my grandfather bought. What right do you have to question me about my affair? If you dare to upset me, I will stop paying for your mom's treatment right this second. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. I couldn't say a single word. From then on, Jonathan became even more reckless. When he was done playing with internet celebrities, he moved on to my friends. He kept testing my limits, again and again. On one side, my mom needed medical treatment. On the other, my marriage was rotten to the core. I almost collapsed. The 2 forces pulled me in opposite directions, tearing me apart. One day, lost in thought, I slipped and fell down the stairs. That was when I found out I was pregnant. His grandfather pleaded with me, almost desperate. Zara, please keep the child. Maybe this could save your marriage. If, after the baby is born, Richard still doesn't change, I promise I won't force you to stay. With too many emotions weighing on my heart, I agreed. I tried. I really did. I hadn't thought about trying so hard for so long. But in the end, I lost everything. My mom, my baby, my marriage, my love. I wiped away my tears and gazed out of the window at the gray sky. Maybe the only relief was that both Jonathan and I were finally free. While I was lost in thought, my phone rang. It was him. Zara, did you go crying to Grandpa again? You ruined my night with Lily. I'm warning you, if you pull something like this again, I will cut off your credit card. In the past, I would have begged, apologized, and done everything to get back into his good graces. But now, I just said with an indifferent face, do whatever you want. He was caught off guard by my indifference. But soon, he sneered. I heard you gave birth. Having a child really gives you confidence, huh? But don't forget, I'm the son of the Richards family. As long as you are still part of this family, I can make your life hell. I closed my eyes. I had seen what he was capable of. The first time I caught him in bed with another woman, I naively went to his grandfather for justice. But all I got in return was his twisted revenge. He used my mom against me, forcing me to kneel on the freezing balcony, slapping myself over and over. That night, I listened to him and his lover making love, their voices echoing through the house, while I shivered until I passed out. By the time morning came, my face was swollen, my body frostbitten, and I was sent to the hospital. That was the night the last of my love for him died in the snow. After that, no matter how cruel he was, I pretended not to see. I endured every humiliation and every insult that Richards did. I forced myself to stay in the role of Mrs. Richards. But now, my mom was gone. My child, too. This marriage, already a corpse, needed to be buried once and for all. I hung up the phone without another word. Then I stood up and contacted my friend at the funeral home to make an appointment for the cremation. When I returned to the hospital room, I saw Jonathan standing in the doorway. He wrinkled his eyebrows as he looked at me, then sneered. "Why don't you continue acting and pretending to be pitiful anymore?" He crossed his arms and scanned me with an icy gaze. "Running around so soon after giving birth? Looks like you are in great health. I suppose you won't need any time to rest and recover." He stepped closer, his voice dripping with malice. "I have decided to bring Lily to live in the villa. She is young, delicate, and doesn't know how to do housework. Go ahead and process your discharge papers. You can come home and be our maid." As he leaned in, his lips curled into a cruel smile. "Your pain expression is the best stimulant for me in bed." He stared at me dead on, expecting to see my pained and saddened look. But I didn't. I met his gaze with an expression as blank as an empty canvas, drained of any emotion. His amusement faded when he realized there was nothing left for him to destroy. Irritated, he turned to a nearby nurse. "Where is the baby? Boy or girl? Bring it to me." The nurse hesitated, her face pale with anxiety. I helplessly said, "Grandpa carried away the baby." Jonathan looked like he wanted to say more, but his phone rang. The moment he picked up, his face twisted with fury. Without warning, he slapped me across the face. "Zara, what did you do to Lily? If anything happens to her, I swear you will regret it." Already weak from childbirth, I stumbled back, crashing into the hospital bed's railing. The nurse rushed forward, steadying me. "Mr. Richards, your wife just gave birth. If you keep this up, you will kill her." But Jonathan didn't care. He acted as if he hadn't heard. With concern for Lily, and without sparing me another glance, he stormed out of the room, his mind solely on her. The nurse looked at me with a heartbroken face. My pale face, however, didn't have any extra expression. My face was pale, my heart empty, as if all the love and hatred had been consumed in 10 years of suffering. After the checkup, the doctors instructed me to rest. It was then that I finally realized the reason why Jonathan had lost his temper. The baby had died and his grandfather was so grief-stricken, retaliated by using his influence to blacklist Lily from the entire industry. Desperate, she mistakenly thought that I was retaliating. She had run to Jonathan, crying and exaggerating the situation, and added more fuel to the fire to complain to him. That was why he had struck me. But it didn't end there. As a gift to Lily, Jonathan revoked my shares in the Richards Corporation and transferred them to her. To further appease her, he even photographed 20 stars in the sky and titled them with Lily Patricia's name. During an interview, Lily flaunted her new diamond ring, smiling sweetly. "I don't consider myself a mistress. If a woman can't keep her husband's heart, she has no one to blame but herself." She ran a finger over her ring, her voice dripping with mockery. "Besides, the current Mrs. Richards married for money. But me? I only love Richards with all my heart." The internet erupted into chaos. Her fans showered her with praise, while others condemned her shamelessness. Some even tagged my account, flooding me with insults, demanding I step aside for her. I stared at my phone, but instead of anger, I felt irony. After so many years, Jonathan's tricks for coaxing girls haven't changed at all. Thinking back then, Jonathan had done the same thing for me. After learning that I had grown up poor and never celebrated a single birthday, he showered me with 20 gifts on my 20th. From a golden locket for my first year to a villa for my 20th. He said he wanted to compensate me for the suffering I had endured in the past 20 years. I still remember that day. He took my hand under the starry sky. "Zara, I lost my parents when I was young, but from now on, I will treat your mother as my own. I will start the happiest family with you." I melted in the depth of his eyes. Naively, I thought that I had finally found someone to share a lifetime with. But then, love had an expiration date. And once the novelty wore off, he had simply moved on to someone else. One night, during one of our so-called dates, he left me stranded on a mountain just so he could deliver flowers to his new mistress. That night, I walked for miles down the rugged trails alone. My feet were torn and bleeding and my calves were left with lifelong scars that would be hard to erase, a permanent reminder of the price I paid for loving him. Looking back, I should have known then. A selfish and sentimental man like him would never settle for just one woman. Our marriage contract had always been nothing more than his excuse to justify his infidelity. With that thought in mind, I left a comment under Lily's latest video. "Zara Claire, I wish you 100 years of happiness and an early birth." Not long after the message was sent, the video was deleted. Shortly after, my phone rang. It was Jonathan. I ignored it. Then, with the same cold indifference he had always shown me, I blocked his number. I suddenly remembered today was the day of my mom's cremation. I explained the situation to the hospital and signed my discharge papers ahead of schedule. The doctor was clearly uneasy about my condition and took the initiative to accompany me there. When the staff handed me my mom's urn, I did not collapse into tears as I had expected. Instead, I felt something deep inside me finally snap, the last shackle binding me to this wretched life. I took a deep breath and whispered a quiet goodbye to the doctor before heading back to the Richards family home to pack my things. As soon as I stepped into the living room, I saw two people. Jonathan and Lily were sprawled on the sofa together. At the sight of me, Lily hastily pulled up the zipper of her dress, but no amount of covering up could hide the red marks on her skin, evidence of their heated passion. I felt nothing, no anger, no heartbreak. I simply turned away and walked to the bedroom as if I didn't see anything, as if they were nothing more than ghosts in the room. By the time I finished packing, Lily was gone. Jonathan was left sitting there, drinking alone. As I stepped out with my suitcase, he finally looked up. The dim lighting cast shadows across his face, making it impossible to read his expression. "Zara, where were you today?" he asked. "None of your business." I was unwilling to say more, but Jonathan suddenly dropped his wine glass. He walked to me in large strides. "Don't act so pure and untouchable," he sneered, storming toward me. "Do you think I don't know? You were out whoring around, weren't you?" I stiffened. "What the hell are you talking about? Zara, are you so pressed for loneliness? You think that I have been neglecting you, so you ran into someone else's arms. Is that it?" His voice was low, menacing. "Fine. For your loneliness, I will fulfill you." Saying that, Jonathan Jonathan roughly ripped off my clothes and pulled my hand towards the bed. Panic surged through me. Struggling violently, I said, "Jonathan, are you insane? I just gave birth." But he wasn't listening. Like a wild animal, he bit down on my shoulder, his breath hot and ragged against my skin. Rage and disgust flooded through me. With all the strength I had left, I shoved him away and slapped him across the face. The room went still for a fraction of a second. Then, his eyes darkened. The enraged Jonathan also rushed not to show weakness, and without hesitation, he grabbed the glass bottle from the table and hurled it at me. Bang! Pain exploded across my forehead as warm blood trickled down my face. Jonathan froze for a split second and subconsciously came over to assist me. "Why don't you know how to dodge?" he muttered under his breath. I stumbled back a few steps, trying to find my footing, trying to form words, but my body gave out first. The world blurred, then faded into black. I don't know how long it took, but the sound of Jonathan and Grandpa's arguing woke me up. Opening my eyes, I found myself in a hospital bed once more. Seeing me awake, Jonathan seemed relieved. He looked at his grandpa with a face full of unhappiness. "This is the wife you chose for me? She can't even sit through her confinement period properly before running off to a date." The old man trembled with rage. "A date? Do you even know what Zara went for yesterday?" I cut in before he could continue. I cut off Grandpa before he could say another word. "It's all in the past." He understood what I meant and didn't say anything more, though his expression was full of disappointment as he looked at Jonathan. Jonathan, however, remained indifferent. He shrugged. "She is awake now, so there's nothing left for me to do here. Lily is still waiting for me. I'm leaving." Grandpa's cane swung down hard. "You bastard. I don't care where you go today, but tomorrow, you and Zara must come to the old mansion." Before the words were finished, Jonathan's figure had already disappeared in the doorway. Grandpa let out a heavy sigh. His back became more and more hunched. He handed me a divorce agreement that was already signed. "Zara, failing to raise him properly is my fault," he said, his voice laced with regret. "But that child is also your own flesh and blood. I hope you can send him off properly." I looked at the old man with his full head of white hair and couldn't bring myself to refuse in the end. The next morning, dressed in black, I arrived at the Richards family's old mansion. This child was one I had risked my life to bring into the world. It's a pity that I didn't even have time to hold him for a while, and then I was already separated forever. I wiped away the tear slipping down my cheek. Perhaps this was for the best. If I had something to hold on to, it would make leaving all the more difficult. I had tried my all best in this marriage. Leaving now, I felt only exhaustion, no regrets. Even as my child was laid to the ground, Jonathan never showed up. Instead, I saw his name trending online, photos of him and Lily trying on wedding attire. Moments later, a smug message arrived from Lily herself. "Lily Patricia, so what if you had his child?" In the end, Jonathan Richards still chose me. Lily Patricia. "Oh, and by the way, did you think that Richards was the one taking care of you while you were unconscious? Not at all. He was with me the whole time. In fact, we were in the next hospital bed next to yours, trying out some new positions." The video she sent painted a stark contrast of my deathly pale face against her rosy, satisfied glow. I didn't respond. Instead, I quietly forwarded all the messages and videos to Grandpa. Then, I took off my wedding ring and, holding my mother's ashes, whispered, "Mom, let's go home." Night had fallen by the time Jonathan returned to the Richards family's old mansion with a body full of alcohol. The moment he pushed open the door, he was met with a room full of funeral wreaths. He jolted in shock. "Who died? Could it be Zara's mom?" His face went pale as panic set in. "Why didn't anyone tell me sooner? Where's Zara? She must be heartbroken. I should go to her." Jonathan's grandpa had finally had enough. He flung the divorce agreement at Jonathan's face. "Zara already left, taking her mother's ashes with her. Today is your son's 7th day memorial."